Good morning and welcome everyone to our service this morning, and happy St. Patrick's Day too. Today we will be celebrating the return of spring with its joyfulness and its hopefulness, as well as the balance that the equinox invites us to consider, the time when the days and the nights are equal and light and shade coexist in harmony. So first, the light, with some words by Shari Woodbury. Let us enter this sacred sanctuary the way a soft infant enters the bright world, squinting in wonder, holding to another, taking it all in. Let us open all our senses and let our synapses spark one connection after another as we make sense of the world and find joy with each other and follow the instinct to play. And then the shade, which is that this past week we have lost two dear friends. Bernie Slashbrook from Bridgewater, although more recently she's been attending Columpton, sadly died on Monday after a lengthy stay in hospital. And our own Thelma Mitchell, who's also been in hospital for a while, died on Tuesday in Derriford. So I know that Bernice was remembered at the meeting yesterday in Crewkerne, I believe it was, for the Western Union. I can't remember which meeting it was, but she was honoured there, and we will have details of her funeral for you later. But today, I thought we would have an opportunity a bit later to light candles and say a few words, if anyone felt like it, about memories of Thelma. And we have some lovely photos of her here. Thank you to Anne and anyone else who's contributed to putting that together. We'll miss them both very much. But first I'm going to light our chalice that's not right, is it? Chalice candle, as is our custom, as a symbol of our free religious faith. Around us, light is returning. It rekindles the spirit of life in the skeletons of trees. It brings forth new shoots from the soil. It wakes us from our winter slumber and invites us to see what lies beyond. We light this chalice in the spirit of our Earth's reawakening, and to affirm our commitment to each other and to our planet home. Our first hymn this morning is, it's in the green hymn books, this one. I do love the words of this one, and they're written by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's one of our historic figures, one of the great theologians in the Unitarian tradition. And he was very in tune with nature himself and felt that wisdom could be found in our connections with nature. So this is We Sing of Golden Mornings, number 267 in the green hymn books.
Sing us
very remissly, I forgot to say hello to the people joining us on Zoom. Hello. Let's join together in a time of prayer. And I start with a springtime prayer by George Tyger. O power of springtime, spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, goddess of creativity, of birth, of life renewed. You sing all about us at this time. The birds call your sacred name. Buds burst forth with your vestment. The sun reaches higher into the sky, shining the light of this new day through the windows of your cathedral, this world. O power of springtime, forgive us our speediness and our racing before your eternal grace, that we do not see the miracle world we share. Open our eyes with your warmth and our hearts with your beauty. Slow our minds with awe and wonder. Dear Spirit of green grasses and warm breezes, let us find here in these moments of quiet the grace of your breath as we breathe into our bodies the spirit of spring. So into the silence now, I invite you to bring into your own mind's eye, into your own heart, anyone known to you who may be suffering at this time. Those who are grieving, those who are unwell, those who are anxious. We wish them well. And as we open our hearts more widely to embrace all souls, those unknown to us wherever they may be, those living in fear, in poverty, in war, we wish them peace. We wish them healing. We wish them happiness. May it be so. And now it's time for our story today. And I'm very happy to see Dominic and Delilah here today, because this is a story which I think is a nice story for children, and I hope that you'll also enjoy it. It's a story about 3 tulip bulbs called No, Yes, and Maybe. They lived at the bottom of a bulb tin, content to be round and plump and dressed in silky brown garments. When autumn came, they started discussing the destiny of tulip bulbs. Who knew that tulip bulbs also wondered about the meaning of life? No said, I don't think there's any life for tulip bulbs. We were made to live in these tins, and I'm quite content to be here. And with that, No rolled over and went to sleep. Maybe disagreed. I'm not satisfied with things as they are. I feel something inside me that I must achieve, and I believe I can. So he squeezed and squeezed himself, turning this way and that. But nothing happened, and finally, in frustration, maybe gave up. Then Yes spoke up. I've been told, she said very softly, that by ourselves we can do nothing, but that we can achieve our destiny if we put ourselves in the hands of life. The other two just sniffed and looked away. Now one day a hand reached down into the bulb tin, groping for a bulb. No and Maybe both scurried out of reach and hid in a corner, but Yes rolled right into the hands of life, which took her and buried her in the cold, damp earth of winter. Ah, what a fool to fall for that trick, laughed No and Maybe, who were warm and dry and safe in their little bulb tin. And with that, they went back to sleep. When spring came, No and Maybe were nowhere to be seen. No had shriveled up, and Maybe had worried and fidgeted herself to death. Nothing remained of them but a few dry husks and a handful of dust, and I think I've got some of those in a tin of my own, actually. But what about Yes, who'd let herself be buried all winter in the ground? What do you think happened? Anything? Any clues? What happens when you put a bulb in the ground or a seed in the ground? Nothing? They grow, exactly. She was a sight to behold. She had burst out of the ground and blossomed into a whole new life. The moral being, say yes to life. And a short poem called The Trees by Philip Larkin. The trees are coming into leaf like something almost being said. The recent buds relax and spread. Their greenness is a kind of grief. Is it that they're born again and we grow old? No, they die too. Their yearly trick of looking new is written down in rings of grain. Yet still the unresting castles thresh in full-grown thickness every May. Last year is dead, they seem to say. Begin again, afresh, afresh. So it's time to sing again, and this time there is no choir accompaniment, just a piano. But I think last time we did that, some of you told me that you quite liked it. So let's see if you still quite like it. It's number 111. It's called Oh Brother Sun. There's a little introduction, and then do join in as best you can. There's quite a few of you, so I think you'll be okay singing along to this. Hymn number 111. That sounded lovely. Oh, it did. So we're going to come to a time of reflection, and as I say, some candle lighting. So I'm going to start with some reflective words. Spirit of spring and new life, spirit of decay and death, we turn to your wisdom and strength as we seek to live lives of meaning and love. The cycle of life is powerful. Everything that lives dies. Everything that dies has lived. There is no escaping this cycle. What then can we learn from its power? The leaves that we put away in the autumn are now compost, fertilizing the soil as we prepare to till the garden for this year's plantings. The crocus brings delight and lasts but for a moment. Then it's gone, making way for the abundance of green and colour that spring will bring. When one who was beloved dies, we cry, we mourn, we lament, and we carry them on in our hearts, seeking to live as they inspired us to live. As a child grows, we marvel at their unfolding into their unique self. These lives we live hold so much beauty and so much pain. And we, like each of our ancestors across the millennia, we seek to live them fully. Let's now just take some time with some quiet music.
There's a cloud, blue sky darkening, that veils the light of the sun and foretells the rain. But there's a bird, there are birds, and some are singing to greet every new day that may come, like the first of spring. It is cold, I've had the feeling at the heart and in the core, the root of all things. But there's a bud, there's a bulb, it will be blooming to greet every new day that may come, like the first of spring. It is late as I watch waiting first of spring. Like the first of spring.
I think if I had to sum up the meaning of spring for me, it would be about saying a big yes to life and to everything it contains. A surge of energy, an emergence of colour and light, and the gradual gift of warmth. And yet it carries within it its own poignancy. For like any moment, any day, any season, it is brief. Just as our entire experience of life is one moment giving way to the next, and to the next, and to the next. Nothing stays. And so spring is both full of hope and promise, and also achingly ephemeral. As we do, it carries within it its own mortality. So catch it while you can. I was reminded of a story of the broken vase, or in this case it's told many times in many ways. In this version it's a broken goblet, which goes like this. You see this goblet, asks Ajahn Chah, the Thai meditation master. For me, this glass is already broken. I drink out of it. It holds my water admirably, sometimes even reflecting the sun in beautiful patterns. If I should tap it, it has a lovely ring to it. But when I put this glass on the shelf and the wind knocks it over, or my elbow brushes against it, and it falls off the table and onto the ground and shatters, I will say, of course. When I understand that the glass is already broken, every moment with it is precious. I find that story very beautiful, to be able to see the impermanence of everything, still to feel the sadness of its loss, but also to heighten its worth while we have it, to give so much value to what we have while it is here, and to appreciate its transience as a gift. At Mindfulness last week, we shared food, as we always do, which included many different tasty offerings, but I was particularly struck, as I think others were too, by the cherry tomatoes and the grapes. I brought some grapes in if you want to try later. But as we were sitting quietly and contemplatively, which is quite a word to get your mouth around, and just really concentrating on what we were doing and thinking about the moment of actually the feeling of the grape or the tomato on our tongue and the biting into it and the tasting of it, it sort of exploded in the mouth with flavour. And it seemed to me that that was encapsulating that sense of yesness to life. The moment that says, this is life and I am here in it, of it. A kind of exquisite ecstasy. And it doesn't last. The feeling is always short-lived, the experience is fleeting. And in a sense, the grape, the tomato, has already been eaten. But the moment of eating, the moment of tasting, just captures the essence and the spirit of life and of spring to me. I think that is very much the practice of mindfulness, but also of being a spiritual being, of being a Unitarian. As Tracy Chapman sang earlier, to greet every new day that may come, and she might have sung every new moment that may come, like the first of spring, recapturing that moment of noticing. There was a period last year when Thelma seemed to have that very spirit of spring within her, which is what some of you were speaking about. She was bright-eyed and wide awake and meeting every opportunity, it seemed, with a kind of almost childlike excitement. Her diary filled with places to go and people to meet. And as you said, so thrilled to go on her first march. And I know she wasn't always like that, but I will love to remember that about her, that blessing that was for her and for us as well. Because it isn't possible, at least I don't think it is, to maintain that kind of beginner's mind, the one that continuously sees things afresh. Our brains are not built that way. They adapt, they become habituated to what's around us. We're primed really to react to differences, to predators, to dangers, to new things, which of course is important for our survival, but there's a cost. We lose often the wonder in the everyday. And spring comes to reawaken us to that wonder. And in such moments of lucidity, I feel that is where we may find, or where I find my God, where he or she or they or it, where they've been all the time, just not noticed by me. I gather that there's cold weather coming. Even snow in some parts of the UK, I think, which of course is not unusual for March. Our weather is erratic, but the movements of the solar system are entirely predictable. We are part of this system that turns and spins and ebbs and flows and lives and dies in continuous motion, in a universe that's constantly evolving and expanding, powered and driven by forces and energy way beyond our capacity to really grasp. And yet, we come here in part to try to reach, to grasp, to embrace the possibility of what cannot be understood, the mystery, God. So this season, may you open your heart and your mind to the elements, to the newness, to the freshness, and to the everyday, the dull, and see, if it's possible, to see it as if for the first time. May you feel the spring in your step, and the wind in your hair, and the sun on your back, as you let yourself be carried by the earth, the air, the sun, the seas. And may we say, again and again, yes to life and all that it entails. Our final hymn is one of Thelma's favourites. It's also one of my favourites. I think it's probably liked by many of us. It's number 167 in the Purple Hymn Book, and it's called There Is a Place I Call My Own. You will, I'm sure, have places where you feel alive and at home and safe. Or maybe you feel that sense of being on the edge there, which is also an amazing feeling too. There is a place I call my own. Let's sing.
Beyond the things I know, and dream the dawn.
closing video, which includes a dance. It's all right, you don't have to dance. You can if you like. But the closing words, they are some of my favourite closing words, and I've said them many times, although I don't think recently. So, look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all the verities and realities of your existence. The bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendour of achievement are but experiences of time. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. Look well, therefore, to this day.